Alright, this is the phase 2 of the repair and restoration of this 1987 Polaris Trail Boss ATV. The first video was phase 1, although I wasn't calling it that at the time, but I figured let's keep track of the individual parts and time frames I've been working on this. So the first phase was to get it running, had my father-in-law help work on it, and wasn't too bad to get it running, but it needed a lot of stuff. The rear brakes didn't work, the front brake, one of the sides was stuck, there was a lot of stuff broken on it, so it was barely rideable during phase 1. But now it's in a much better condition. Still not complete though, still some stuff to do. So phase 1 involved, of course, getting it to run, getting it cleaned up with all the mud wasps that had made nests everywhere on it. Lights were burned out because it was run without a battery. We pulled the key off because we lost the original key, but luckily the new key works in the old one, so we put the old one back in since it was easier than wiring up the new key. So the brake was all jammed up. There's actually mud wasp nests up in here. This was all jammed. The piston here needed redone. This broke, so the screw's holding it in. I have a new one of these, not this official part, but a universal one. But since this is working, we're afraid to take it off. I mean, the universal one also attaches here fine. But if this works, why change it for right now? I mean, it works really well. Better than the first time I was showing the video. Like, look, yeah, good grippage. Let's see, in phase 1, what else had happened? That was most of it. I did do cosmetic stuff like this light. The original one was broke, busted all apart. There's just the bulb hanging. Battery was gotten. Yeah, the voltage regulator, the one up here behind the shield, needed done. The rear brake line was clogged, so I got a set from a 91, all 4 lines, but the fronts don't fit this, so I'm not going to be able to use them. They're a different screw type down here, like where it connects to the wheel. That's a different connector. I can't use them there. But the rear one works, which is this one, but it points forward when it's totally screwed in. So I had the original one works again, so we'll get that fixed. This left one was locking up a lot, but between phase 1 and now, we took both wheels off and replaced the pads on each of them. But the pads they sent me were too long, and they were messing with the nubs, or you can't see it on here, it's behind it, but they were hitting. So I had to use a new brake pad in the back and put the original one back on the front, but they weren't too worn. And then I had bought it last time. The brake caliper wasn't working, the piston's frozen, we pushed it in and never got it out. This is a new one from eBay I picked up. Fully works. We broke the bleeder on this one, even though we were much more careful. We sprayed it and everything, but these are so fragile. I found out I can replace this, but we're gonna have to drill it out to get the old one out, and we're gonna maybe mess with the old one and try it first, since we have one to mess around with. We greased all the points. There's one. I'm not gonna go through all of them. During phase 2, I did remove the old fog lights. There used to be 2 fog lights mounted here that my dad originally put on because he needed more light, because there really isn't a lot of light that comes from here. This isn't the best for just that by itself. So, took them off after we found out that this fuse is okay, but it was overloading the line, which I don't know how that originally happened. Nothing's been changed, but whenever it was on high beam and the lights were on, they kept going out. So took those off, and I put these new LED ones on. I found a deal with these are flood ones on each side. And then this is a spot. And just put them on last weekend. My father-in-law helped wire them up. We got a nice, well, I do have a tie wrap right here, but I might help by putting one back here to help hold the wire up. But he went through and redid it all. So I just got here today and he had already replaced it. And he grounded it where I found a nice ground point was right up here. He put a nice little purple one, I guess. So we grounded it to that bolt, which holds the rack on. And then we're using this fuse in line. So I just put nuts on the end, those twist nuts and electrical tape. So those come on, I can turn them on real quick. So those come on with the high beams. So there's low, see nothing. And then if we go high, all three on. So I haven't done much night riding. I hate to do night riding when the battery isn't being charged still. Not sure what is stopping the charging system from working, but definitely not putting out the voltage it needs. And also, I said last time these shocks were going. Well, they're completely gone now. It's just the coils or the springs supporting it. So it bounces. I don't know, it's hard to do it right here. But both of them are gone now. So, and I found out that these shocks or struts are unique to this exact model. 4x4, even the 2x4 one won't work. Which I got one, but at least I have a spare coil. But this, the way this goes in here, completely unique, which sucks. So I am gonna have to find an original one or do something, drill them, refill them. I don't know if that's impossible because the seals are leaking on them. Seals are leaking on both of them. Did a paint job. I painted these up, spray painted the racks, so they don't look as rusted. I mowed them down, put them on there. Oh, hold on. Pause. All right, so yeah, I painted the racks. So they're a little bit better. I missed a spot in this one, but I'll get it again. And what I'm gonna need to do is probably take this rack off again and get this one. This one's separate. If I put the new brake thing on, I can wire it up to this, and when I press the brakes, this will light up without having to be lights on. I did get a new rubber thing for this, but this is kind of hard to get off from this underside here. This is like really, really difficult. So tires losing a little bit of pressure, but hopefully they'll stay good for a while. I want to kind of sand and clean it up. This is all for phase 3. So phase 3, I want to redo this. I try to keep it as original as possible. I'm really trying to just keep it like that, but I know it's not possible completely. I'm probably even missing some stuff I've done because I just do lots of little stuff to it. But definitely for phase 3, the shocks and electrical charging system, that needs done. That way this battery stays fully charged. And I do have a winch for it too, which may or may not be used. I usually don't ride alone, so usually it's not a concern, but I already have a winch, and we're looking at putting a plate right here, drilling holes, then mounting the winch directly to the plate, and then it's just gonna come straight out through here, which may or may not be good. Maybe we'll try to put it underneath and come out this slow. I do have a roller guide for it too, but there's nowhere to mount it here. Plow system would be nice too, but I doubt that's gonna happen. Not necessary for this. So yeah, I mean, I can stir it up again like last time. It actually still starts up really well. Quick and easy. Almost 30 years old. Yep, nearly 30 years old, and it still runs really well. My dad did have it fixed because I guess the engine did freeze, so it's more like a 300 instead of a 250 now. So just making sure I keep oil in it. I did put, found out, I gotta make some repair videos, but this does, I took these off and I found fluid come out. It has like a transmission fluid in here, and we refilled it. And then this there's a dipstick here, right here, for the gear case, or crankcase, whatever you want to call it. And I refilled it, I replaced it. I got the actual AGL fluid that Polaris, it's like a transmission lubricant stuff. It's a mix. So I put that in. I've been making sure the oil stays good. Although now I have a new oil. The original oil is done. That my dad had bought a gallon of long ago that we never got through it all. Well, now I'm using Polaris's new recommended 2-cycle lubricant oil. So hopefully that's going to be fine. But yeah, as for repairs now, just getting electrical system working again, and then getting new front shocks. The back one should be good. My dad got those. I never got a good shot of these. Whenever it broke a few times, because he took my mom and my sister and me on it, it kept breaking. Well, he broke at the piston once, the shock, and then he got a double set that they sold a kit for, which is nice. Kind of common. Oh, and there's a grinding sound. We think at the front of that sprocket's fine, but we think the bearing just inside it might be going bad. So when there's weight on the ATV, it makes like a grinding sound. And that's where the sound's coming from, and we've done everything else possible to figure out what it could be. And when we took this tire off, we got this was loose and wobbling a little bit. Had a little shake in it, in the tire. Finally got that tightened down, so there's no shake there anymore. But seriously, mostly original stuff still on it. And except for some new enhancements like the lights and the soon-to-be winch, which will tie back to the battery directly. And it's got a wireless key, which will go on, or key fob, which will go in the key thing itself. And putting this original line back on. We'll take this off, keep it as a spare. I have a box too, or a distribution part, which I'll keep one of those too. But when winter's coming up here, we're gonna take it apart more, put it up on blocks, and thoroughly go through the rest of it, just to see. We're gonna try to look in the crankcase, make sure all the gears are fine in there. We're gonna do the magneto. We're gonna take a look at that, see if that's part of the charging problem. I really want the charging to work, and if my father-in-law or I can't do it, I'm not really mechanical, so this is all third-hand knowledge I'm saying. We'll take it to a dealer or someone who works on ATVs that could do something this old, and just pay him to fix it. And then my coworkers and friends are like, well, why don't you just buy a new one with all the money you're spending on it? Well, I haven't spent that much. I've less than $300 so far. Maybe a little over it now with these lights. So why? To get this running again, and I know it's going to be running good, since I know it wasn't abused or anything like that. It's not a new one. It's not going to, I can't afford to drop 14K. I can't really drop 1K on a new one, if I can, or a used one. But I can spread out money over time and keep this thing running until the day too much is wrong with it and it's no longer useful to put any money back into the parts. So, I mean, other than that, probably maybe some other stuff I'm forgetting, but like I said, I should make some repair videos of taking this stuff off. Even we took this off, figured a 4x4 might have been interfering with the noise. We disconnected this chain, and that was a pain to put back on. We actually had to use a pair of pliers to put the links close enough that you could insert the I don't know I forget it's called master link, where you connect it back on. And we actually need to take it back off because we couldn't get the rubber seals on each side of it, or whatever they're called. We didn't get that on right, so we're gonna need to redo that. So, but maybe when I go and redo some of this stuff, I'll record it. So, other than that, yeah, that's phase 2. Phase 1 and phase 2 basically wrapped up together. So maybe some painting up here. Maybe I'll put some black spray on this just to make this look nice again. But whenever it's winter, we're gonna take this off officially and put the new universal one on. It has a little glass you can see to see the level, how much is in there. and it'll actually have a connector on the bottom that will run a wire along to the back light. So whenever you press this, it lights up. Something cool, but sadly, no way to modify this to do it. There might be a way, but it's not worth it. And then this one will just stick around as a spare original part in case I ever do get rid of it, which I doubt I will, but you never know. Never know. Like to keep it as long as possible, so. All right, well, any questions or anything, throw in the comments. I know not too many people are interested in old ATVs like this, but I like it. If you have any tips on what to do about those front shocks, let me know, because I really would like to get those struts fixed. And if not fixed, just replaced, but they don't sell them anymore, and that's not a common connector. That's very specific to this ATV. Even a 2x4 has a different adapter. So, oh, speaking of the brake lines, these are the connectors that are supposed to, the rubber protective part that goes onto the, this connector, which is right here. It's supposed to attach to that to keep this brake line solid against it, but it doesn't need it really. But I bought extra, because these are real nice to actually attach stuff to the rack. So, they're nice and rubber, it's not going to scratch. And then these bolts went right through it real nice, and I can even adjust these a little bit. They're not completely heavily bolted down. Like, I could tighten these up. This even wiggles a little bit, but it's okay. I mean, this isn't going to be hitting big jumps or anything like that. It's a nice trail riding machine, basically. So, all right, this video probably went a little longer, but I'll keep working on it and let you guys know.